Grandma's Kitchen.
There's a fiddle tune and a wooden spoon while she's stirring and singing. There's friends leaving or family land, and then the phone's usually ringing. No matter who you are or what you've done, everything's forgiven.
Thank God. Thank God.
Thank
God. Grandma's Kitchen.
And ain't it good to be in Grandma's kitchen?
Grandma's Kitchen.
Hello everybody, Mary Janet here from Tunes and Wooden Spoons, and happy Sunday to you. Started a new technological thing going on here, so please comment if it's good or bad. I can't see your comments. I'm just going to assume that everything is working great and the kids are there and they're going to tell me if it's right or wrong. So today we are making white bread and rolls, so we're going to get right at it because we're going to be live 3 separate times today, and we have to get going pretty quickly so that we have time. Bread and rolls are the easiest thing in the world, and so often people are so afraid to try it or attempt it because they figure, you know, it's just not going to work out and it's too big of a deal. But all it takes in the first, half an hour that we are putting this together, that's all your work. The rest is a piece of cake. Well, it's rolls and bread. So we're going to get started right away. But before I start, I'm always after people with birthdays. And our family, May is a busy month. And coming up this week, 2 people in my family are having birthdays. My daughter, Tammy, in Fort McMurray, this coming Thursday is her birthday, and she became a mom on her birthday long ago. I don't know how old Brody is, but he made me a grandma. He might be 21. Isn't that something? I don't even know. I think he's going to be 21 today. He made me a grandma, and he made her a mom on her birthday. I'll never forget that call that morning, and she said, "Mom, I'm in labor." She wasn't due yet. And I said, well, if he's going to be born on your birthday, he's going to be born on your birthday. So, happy birthday to Tammy and Brody out there in Fort McMurray coming up this week. And if you see them for me, anybody out in Fort McMurray, give them a hug from Mama and Grandma. All right, we're going to get started here. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to measure up 2 cups of milk. You're going to put it in a pot. You're going to put it on the stove because we're going to scald the milk. Okay? Let's do this. So, what is scalding the milk? I'm doing this assuming that there are beginners out there. And so I'm going to say this to any of the ones who are terrified of doing this, and this is going to be your first time. So we put the 2 cups of milk in a pot on the stove, put it on medium to high heat, and the milk is going to get hot, but you don't want it to boil. And what happens is you'll just see kind of a skim come over the top, and you'll see some heat coming up from it, and around the edges you'll see a little bit of bubbles forming around the edges. And you pick the pot up every now and again and just kind of turn it around so that it's just not sticking on the bottom. It could scorch a little bit if you're not careful. But you want that to get good and hot, but you do not want it to boil. So I'm going to leave it there because I kind of know it's going to take about 3 or 4 minutes maybe. And in the meanwhile, we're going to get the rest of our ingredients ready. So I'm going to put in here a 1/4 cup of sugar. All right. So just measure up 1/4 cup of sugar and put it in a nice large bowl. Okay. And we're going to put into that 4 teaspoons of salt. I'll be good today. I'll measure out the salt since there's so much going in. But you need that salt. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to need, just mix it up a little bit. You're going to need a 1/4 cup of shortening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up into little pieces so that when we do add the hot milk, it'll be easier for it to melt. So just chop it up in little pieces. There we go. And you know, when I posted the ingredient list, I kind of messed up on the flour. You know, you're really going to need about 10 cups of flour. I think I put in, I'm not sure what I put in. I think I might have put 8.5, but then I was using extra to sprinkle on the counter and whatever. So I purposely made it again yesterday because we were having fresh lobster from our neighbor fishermen, and some wanted like a bunwich, whatever. So I made it into bigger rolls, you know, about that big around, you know, like about the size of a hamburger bun. And I decided to measure out the flour better. So it's 10 cups of flour that are going to be used, and that's it and no more. So just so you know, just going to check on the milk. That's almost ready. The other thing that you want to put in here now is a cup of the hottest tap water. Not boiling water, just the hottest tap water, okay? Just 1 cup. You know what? I'm going to wash my hands while I'm here because I forgot to do that. You're going to pour that 1 cup of water in here. Okay. And the milk is ready, and I'm going to pour that in. See, you can see that? I don't know if you can see the bubbles around the edges. Can you see that? And it's steaming hot, you can tell. So this is basically, I poured right on, any shortening that you see, and it's going to help melt that. I'm listening to my favorite CD, as you can tell, the Falcha CD. And if I haven't told you that before, Falcha is Gaelic for the word welcome. So, welcome. And this Falcha CD, there are a number of them available at the Celtic Music Interpretive Center online. That's the Celtic Music Interpretive Center in Zurich. And they have a whole series of Falcha CDs, but this is the particular one that I play all the time. If I'm by myself and I'm reading, I'm listening to this music. And it's the one that is called Airs and Waltzes. And you know what? Anytime, you know, if you have a nice dinner going on, or you know, at the community hall or whatever, and you want to play music, it's just so nice. It's just an easy listening CD. Do you know what? All of my shortening is now melted. So that's perfect. We're just gonna set that aside, just like that. I'll get rid of my pot. We're going to get the yeast ready. So we're going to talk about the yeast. Okay, so I use traditional active dry yeast. It's made by Fleischmann's. I don't know if you can all see that. I'm sure you've seen that on the shelves. It's sold. There's ones like this that are for bread machines, and there's instant, and there's rapid, whatever. I'm just old-fashioned, and I just use this one. And so what I have to do is I have to put it in water with some little bit of sugar and just let it rise for 10 minutes, and we're good to go. But there are many out there that haven't been able to find the yeast. So any other yeast, you know what? You can use it, and I think it works just fine. So if that other yeast that you're using is the kind that you just mix in with the flour, we'll do that. But the problem with that is, just the thing to remember is, I'm putting a cup of water in here and sugar and the yeast. So if your yeast is just going to be put in the flour, well, you have to make up the difference of the liquid and the sugar that you would have used if you were using this kind of yeast. At least that's what I think. Like I say many times, I just know what I know. And so if you're using the other kind of yeast, you just bear with me on this portion. I'm going to put a cup of good lukewarm water in here and 2 teaspoons of white sugar. I'm going to mix it and dissolve the sugar until you can't feel the crystals. And then I'm going to put 5 teaspoons of my traditional active dry yeast. And that's the equivalent if you purchased your yeast in the 3 packages, it would be 2 packages that we'll be using. So I'm going to just go get my water right now, okay? Okay. And I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of white sugar in there. And stir that up. Now I shouldn't have done that. I'm wetting my nice teaspoon by stirring it. I should have just used another teaspoon, but I didn't. And now I want to measure out the yeast with the same measuring spoon. Anyway, I've got some paper towel here, and I'll just dry it off. I just don't want any of the yeast to stick to it. So I'm going to put 5 teaspoons in. Just going to sprinkle it. Stir that around. And I'm going to just set it over on the counter and set the timer for 10 minutes. All right. So I'm just going to put my finger in here, see how it's going. Well, it's still fairly hot. That's the big thing. You do never, never, never add any flour or yeast to your liquid measure until it is come down to lukewarm. That would kill the yeast, okay? So right now, we're going to do our 10 cups of flour, but we're going to put 5 cups in a bowl, and you're going to put 5 cups in the other bowl. And I'll explain that as we go along, okay? Count it out. I swear to God, I'll forget. If I don't count it out, I'll forget. 2. I'm worse than a kid. 3. 4. 5. 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you put 1 5-cup aside. For those who are using the yeast that mixes in with the flour, this is your time. You put your yeast, your dry yeast that you're using, right in this first batch of flour, and it would be a good time to add your 2 teaspoons of sugar and your cup of water and put it in with the liquid ingredients. And the water should just be lukewarm water. Okay, 1 cup in with your bowl of wet ingredients, and 2 teaspoons of sugar in there too, and just mix it around till that's dissolved and your yeast is in here. But I'm going forward as if it's all good and you're using the old-fashioned traditional dry yeast. Okay, active dry yeast. So we have still lots of time. Okay, so this is a good time to talk to you about what I'm making here today. This recipe will make 4 loaves of bread. And I know there's people out there, good luck. I know sometimes it's hard to half a recipe, but they're halving the recipe, so they only end up with 2 loaves of bread. And that's fine. But I'm not going to go there. This is for 4 loaves of bread that I'm making today, and you guys are on your own, and I'm sure you're doing a grand job. So the loaf pans that I'm using I'm just measuring the inside, and different pans have different lips on them and different handles on them, whatever. I'm just measuring what's inside. Mine are 9 by 5. And the loaves, nice size loaves, okay? So I'm going to make 2 loaves, and then I'm going to have a cookie sheet of to make just some pan rolls, so you can just see that. Similar to when I was making the brown bread, but there may be people out there that are didn't make the brown bread and just didn't see me forming the dough balls and all of that. So we'll go over that again for all of those who are beginners. The other thing I want to address while we still have some time. There's lots of time left here. Next Sunday we're going to have kind of a little special add-on to our live feed. We're not going to be on very long because I'm making ice cream cake next Sunday, which has to be in the freezer for 24 hours. So we're not going to get to eat it on Sunday, so it'll be on Monday that you'll have it. And for anybody who wants to have the complete experience for this beautiful Score Bar ice cream cake, you will have made make that caramel sauce that we made last Sunday, which will be served warm over it when time comes to serve it. Not hot, just warm, okay? But the very special thing about next Sunday is Mitchell is going to be here. We have, he's our bubble family, our son Mitchell and his wife Laura and their 3 little boys. Mitchell is going to come here and he is going to sing after the show is done and we've made the ice cream cake. And we're working on a little project which he may very well be doing a 1-hour concert here in my living room for online. And there's dear family friends of ours who have had a bit of a mishap out there in Fort McMurray, where their 2-year-old was hurt by a dog that escaped his enclosure. And this little boy is in Edmonton, the Stollery Children's Hospital, and he has been there for over a week now, and so are his parents. So we're working on this little project where we would have donations coming in for anybody who wants to watch it. So what I'm hoping that you can do, anybody who can give something at that time, wonderful. But if you could share the live feed next Sunday, that would be wonderful. And there's details that we have to figure out. They've had a fundraiser out west, and that went well. The little boy has had surgery, and it's going to be a long recovery, and Mom and Dad are going to have to make lots of trips. They used to be our neighbors, and Mitchell actually bought their house, and Mitchell is the godfather of one of the children in that family. But the little boy, almost 2, was the one who was attacked when Mitchell's goddaughter was pulling him in the wagon, and it was just the saddest thing in the world. And we've all been praying hard for his recovery, but it'll be a long process, and I feel bad for everybody involved, and there's been some great people that have been helping. So anyway, that's just something to look forward to next Sunday after we make the ice cream cake. So I hope you'll take some time and stay with us next Sunday and have a listen, or give what you can, or whatever it takes, and but it'll be there for your enjoyment, and just offer up your good thoughts for this little darling. Okay, let me check on that yeast. We've got about 2 more minutes to go, but I just wanted you to see, this is what the active dry yeast looks like. It's got a nice, 1.5-inch head on there. That's, I'm looking at the computer, or I should be looking at the webcam, but I hope you can all see that clearly, what it's looking like. There's only a minute left in the rising, and I'm just going to keep it here with me, and I'm going to get a fork, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it up, and I'm just going to test the temperature of this. It's still a little hot. We're not going to add the yeast yet. If you stir it around, it'll cool off eventually. Now, if I were just making rolls, if I just wanted to make rolls, I would use a very similar recipe. My Aunt Fleur May used to make the most delicious rolls. And the only difference between what we're doing here and what she would have added a beaten egg just for making rolls. And maybe a tad more sugar because it's like a sweet roll. Okay, there's the timer. And now, as you know, I'm using a big plastic bowl here. It's a Tupperware bowl, and my daughter was actually making the rolls earlier today because they're having some kind of a big feed up there in Herring Cove today at supper time. So she wanted to get a head start and make them. And she was using her big bowl was a stainless steel bowl, so it retains the heat a lot longer. And she was just calling to make sure I was doing it right. She's the one that gave us little Rosie Marie a couple of weeks ago, and Rosie Marie is doing wonderful. And we are actually going to travel to Halifax on Tuesday, and I'm going to get to see little Rosie Marie, but I'm not going to be able to hold her. We're going to have a little yard visit, and I'm bringing up a little baby quilt that I made. And actually, when our twins were born, my daughter Kelly, who had the little Rosie Marie, when they were newborn babies, family went together and gave us a rocking chair, one of those old Bass River rocking chairs. So anyway, a dear man in Mobile who does a bit of working on instruments and woodworking, Lionel LeBlanc, beautiful singer as well, him and his wife Jessie. But anyway, he took the rocking chair and he just tightened everything up and replaced a rung here or there, whatever, and our daughter wanted it painted white. So I primed it and I've sprayed it with the lacquer finish, and I have a couple more coats to go. So we're going to bring up the rocking chair and bring up the quilts, and I'm excited. I can't wait. Just to see her in person, if even at a safe distance, you know. We're pretty happy about that. So we'll just have to go up and back in the same day because it's like a 3.5 hour journey. Okay, that seems very good to me right now. And if anybody's really, if it's you know, slow to cool down, half a cup of cold water, or even, you know, just a little bit just to rush it up. It's not gonna hurt it. But you don't want to put the yeast into anything. Well, you know what? I'm just going to keep stirring just a little bit longer to be sure. Yeah, I mentioned my Aunt Fleur May, and maybe there's people down there from Marguerite that would remember her. Fleur May McDonald. She was married to Charlie McDonald, who was the postmaster in Marguerite Forks for many years. And Fleur May was a beautiful woman. She was my father's sister, and she was a great cook. She always, I've never, ever, ever visited her where she didn't have a stash of molasses cookies or always rolls or bread or whatever. She was just a homemaker. Always had something good for tea. We Cape Bretoners, I guess, you know, as you know, I've called it before, the carb coast. We love our carbs. I'm going to be putting a link on our site too. Remember 2 or 3 weeks ago I was telling you about Heather Down? She's writing a book which is actually being printed as we speak, and different stories of the effects of COVID-19 and how things are not canceled. And didn't she select Tunes and Wooden Spoons, this whole project, as one of her stories? So I'm going to post the link, and there's some beautiful stories. It's set up similar to Chicken Soup for the Soul, and she's taking pre-orders on now on the link on the site of the publisher, I guess, and you can pre-order. And for the month of May, for all the pre-orders of all of those books sold, she is giving $1 to Mitchell's music award that he gives a graduating student here at Dalbury Academy, and that's really nice of her to do that. She didn't have to do that. And the whole book is dedicated to those who lost their lives in Nova Scotia a couple weeks ago, and it's pretty special. But the whole thing is called Not Cancelled, and it's all these little individual stories about what people are doing and good things that are happening during COVID-19 instead of focusing on the bad. All right, I think this is probably good. Yes, that's perfect. We should put this in the garbage. So, now, I should probably have a fork, but I don't. I'm just going to mix up the yeast, just like that. And I'm going to add it to the wet ingredients. Perfect. And then that first 5 cups of flour, and for some of you who may have your yeast in there, we're going to dump it all in all at once. And you're just going to mix that up. I mean, really, everybody's afraid, and isn't it easy when it comes to, it just takes a long time. Like, we're doing this in real time, and I'll be with you right till you take it out of the oven. And I'm just going to mix it around and around, because in many ways a lot of this is you're basically mixing and kneading, but with a spoon so far. Just give it a few good beats like this. You can already smell the yeast and the goodness there. Beautiful. Okay. So now you're going to take the other 5 cups of flour, and you're just going to spill some in. We're really going to keep on mixing a little bit at a time until we really can't mix anymore. Then we're going to put it out on the surface. Instead of doing it where I would normally do it on the counter, I took my tablecloth off my table, and I was thinking, oh my God, I wonder if I'm going to be able to do this and knead, because it's lower than the counter, and of course my lower back is just a little funny sometimes. But it wasn't bad. I tried it out. I did it like this yesterday. Okay. Mixed up, no real lumps in there. Add a little more flour. I love my Pampered Chef teak wooden spoon. Thank you, Sonia. It's getting there. Oh, you have to have a strong arm. Men make really good bread because they have a good strong arm to knead and to mix. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, it's really sticking together like dough. Hope you're all at the same place as me. So is yours like that too? So this is what we're going to do now. That aside, the rest of this flour, you're going to dump it out on the table. And every bit of that flour, can you see that? I'll put it back here. There, so you can see it. I'm not sure if you can see all that. All that pile of flour, you're going to put some on the surface like this, okay? And you're going to dump this all out. Now, I'll be using that same bowl to let this rise. So clean off your spoon. And if you remember when we made the cinnamon rolls, I cleaned the bowl with flour to clean the sticky dough off. And I'll be doing that again. So, you can all see that okay? All right, so I'm going to be sprinkling a bunch on the top, just around like that. And you're just going to push in with your fingers. I'm not going to start kneading yet. This is kind of kneading, but this is what I do. I don't know if this is right, but it works for me. So I'm just going to stick it all over the place, flatten it out. You can feel little stickies here, there, whatever. Now, sprinkle some more flour on it. And just do it again. And you know, it's not that sticky, right? Okay, so now you're going to take it from the top, and you're going to fold it down over the rest of it, as much as you can. You're going to put some sprinkling of flour, because every bit of that flour you're going to use, sprinkle it underneath where it was, because that will be sticky underneath. And again, if it feels sticky, put more flour on it. We're going to be using every bit of that flour, okay? Now take it from the bottom and fold it over. It'll be sticky under there. Sprinkle some flour on it. Push it down with your fingers. We'll really get into the kneading in a few minutes, but it's just not ready to be kneaded like what you know as kneading. Okay? That's perfect. Now fold it over from the end. Fold it over. Sprinkle some flour. Push it down with your fingers. Lots of big finger holes in it. Okay? And then fold it over again. Okay, this whole process is going to take about 6 minutes. Okay? Because you're saying, how long do I knead it? Well, you're going to knead it until all that flour is gone. That takes about 6 minutes. I think, I mean, I didn't count what we did since we poured it on the counter, but all of that counts as kneading, and it's probably about 8 to 10 minutes, but 8 being a fine number. Okay, anyway, we're not going to time that. We're going to just keep on going until the flour is all gone. Okay, we're almost ready to start kneading. Okay, so I'm going to fold it over again. Are you seeing any more stickiness? More sticky? Add some more flour. Even though you think it might not need more flour, you're going to use every bit of that flour. Okay? And from the bottom, over the top, put your fingers right down into it. Okay? Sprinkle a little more flour. Now we're just about ready to start really kneading. Fold it over. fold it over again. See how it's getting ready in a kind of a ball? It's almost ready. Okay, now fold it over from the top, over in half. Sprinkle more flour. All right, so now we're going to start the kneading with the heels of our hands. So, with these parts, the heels of your hand, you're going to just hold it gently, curve your fingers around the front of the dough, and you're going to press down with your heels as hard as you can and push forward, okay? Just like you're giving a good massage, okay? And you do that a couple of times, like that. 3 or 4 times, 5 or 6 times, okay? And it'll all come together. Now turn the whole thing around, okay? So that it's vertical. Add more flour, right? Because it's sticky underneath. Fold it over. Get your heels down and push forward and forward and forward and forward. Hard as you can. Now turn it around. Fold it over. Sprinkle more flour here or there, whatever. You're going to be using it all. And do that. Whatever you're doing and the strength that you're doing, you're kneading the bread. Even if it's messy, you're doing a good job. Just keep on going. Now turn it around. Add some more flour. Love that tune. Turn it around. And when we finish with all of that flour, it'll be nice and smooth, just like a baby's bum, as they say. Nice and smooth. Just keep turning it around. I didn't add any more flour, just for a few minutes there, just to get it where I want it. Okay, add more flour underneath. Lift it up and put it on some more flour, because we have to use up all that flour. I'm not sure what the purpose is of the kneading. It's got something to do with the gluten. Now, I know I have lots of friends out there that are gluten intolerant or have celiac or whatever, and I'm sorry you can't do this, but you probably make your own kind of bread and it might be similar. But for this bread made with wheat flour, this kneading has something to do with how the gluten performs within the bread, stretches and whatever. I'm not sure exactly, but I know it's got something to do with that. I have an old purity cookbook, and it gives you all kinds of hints of how to make bread. And one thing I didn't realize, certain kinds of bread, especially white bread, needs a high temperature to cook at. So this bread is going to be cooked at 400, and it only takes 30 minutes. But if you're making it into rolls, it will only take 20 minutes. Okay, so keep turning it around. I'll do it in time to music. There was another recipe that I had that came for white bread. I don't make white bread very often. It just so happens that this week, well, I had to make the first batch because I needed to have a picture. And so I made that on Monday evening. I take an online course on Monday, so after I finished my course in the afternoon, I made the recipe so that I could take the picture. And then yesterday, because of the lobsters, I decided to make some more too. But I usually make the porridge brown bread if I'm making anything, and I also love making it into rolls. Makes a nice recipe. Okay, more flour. We're getting there. Your arm's getting tired? I know that some of you are just watching, and that's fine too. And some people are just learn by watching before they even try it out. I got a nice message from this lady. She said she was over 80, I guess, and she used to love to bake and cook, and she started watching these, and she just decided, you know what, I'm gonna start baking again, and she did. I thought that was so sweet. I'm not sure where she was from. Look, I don't know about where you are, but the flour's disappearing. We don't have very much longer before we can just set it. Okay, so what happens when we do put this in a bowl, and if you have any helpers around, you want to have some vegetable oil ready, or whatever you want to grease your bowl with. Some people just use some shortening, some people use butter. I use vegetable oil. Started using it long ago, and it's just easy. I always like the easy. Okay, I have all the rest of my flour on the table, and when that's done, we'll be done. Hope you're at the same place as me. One exciting thing that happened this week, here where I live anyway, in Port Hood, Cape Breton, we mowed our lawn. Isn't that the most exciting thing? The smell of the grass being mown, and so just like, it's so good. I feel like, okay, we survived the winter. And you know what? It wasn't that bad a winter. We're lucky we have 4 seasons. I hope everybody who ordered an apron got their apron. I know a couple of orders have floated in the last couple of days. They'll be going out on Monday. I'm especially interested in those from the US that ordered aprons that I mailed out like over a week ago. Of course, it's just regular mail. It costs an arm and a leg if you go anything different than regular letter mail. But I'd be interested in finding out if you in the US, those that so nice to order, when you get it, if you'll just send me a little note, I'd love that. Okay, a little bit more. Arms sore yet? This is the hardest part. It really is the hard part, and really, it's an exercise. It's good. Because when we finish this, we don't want to feel any dusting of flour on the dough. It'll just be like nice and, you know, warm to the touch and not floury. Now I'm going around the table picking up all little pieces of flour, because flour is basically all gone. Hope you're at the same place as me. Some people have those fancy machines. Minnie, if you're watching, I know. She's got one of those dandy little KitchenAid things that will do all this kneading for you. If you're doing that, good on you. I don't know, there's something therapeutic, or I don't mind it. I don't mind doing it this way. Okay, just about there, people. I can feel the smoothness happening. Okay, I think that's the last one. Okay, see that? Hope yours is like that too. So now I'm going to clean out my bowl. I'm going to put about a teaspoon or so of vegetable oil in it and swish it all around. I'm just going to put a little flour inside my bowl to take the excess dough off. And I know it's going to be a long day. Sorry, guys. And I'm just going to rub it. So you pick up all that loose dough. Okay, I'm just going to wash it out and put it to set. Okay, hold on a second. I think I put too much in there. That's all right. I'll just clean it up with a paper towel. I'm going to get some paper towel. Put too much oil in there. take up some of that excess. I'm going to put it in upside down first, just to get some of that oil on it. And then I'm going to turn it over. It's like that. But I'm going to press it down into the bowl like that, and I'm going to put it to rise for an hour and a half. I'm going to put some saran wrap over the top. And just make sure that it's not, you don't open the door, that the cold air in, and even put a little towel around it. And so I'll see you in an hour and a half. It's 4:30 my time. Take care. See if I can do this. Okay. I hope you're all there. Sorry about that. We've got bad connectivity here, and I think it's better, my daughter says, so I hope that's good. I'm going to review what I did so far. And so what I did was, I took the dough out of my bowl. It was already raised almost to the top of my bowl, okay? For those who missed it. And I put it out on this board, and I cut it in half. This is the second half, okay? I'll just put that over here for now. And I will just show you. I put loaves of bread right in here. I have 2 loaves. Hi. I have 2 buns in here to make the loaves of bread, and now they're raising. So I made 2 loaves in 2 pans, and they're raising now going to be for an hour and 15 minutes. And would you close that door? This is cold air. And the other half I'm going to make into rolls on the pan, okay? So I just started that when everything started going funny. So basically I'm making little rolls like this and just pinching the dough in the bottom. And I'm just making plain old pan rolls, okay? I better put this back. Okay, now we'll try to do this fairly quickly. Make your rolls, or make 4 loaves of bread if that's what you'd rather do. I'm just trying to show anybody who want to make rolls. And the only difference I find that are in bread dough and rolls dough is if I were just making bread dough, I'd put maybe a little more sugar and then a beaten egg, just like my Aunt Florme used to do. So if you're just making the bread, you might be finished now putting the dough in your bread pans, and you just set that for an hour and 15 minutes, okay? And it's best with when you're cooking white bread to have a hot oven. So we're going to cook ours at 400 once this raises up, okay? Trying to get it all so that there's a little folding at the bottom, and that stays at the bottom, okay? I have mine 4 across, and each row maybe an inch between the rows. The closer they are together, the higher they'll get. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't tell you that. What am I dipping my... I have some Crisco oil in here. Vegetable oil. And I mean, you can use shortening, you can use butter. That's what I use. Just easy. No, I'm all about easy. And just pinch it, squish it into there, and then fold it under. I don't know what we're going to do this summer, so we don't know yet what's going to be open and what's not. And I just think of how we all so look forward to our summers and to the places that we love to go and listen to live music, you know, and it's just scared that's not going to happen. Can you see that? Okay, I'm going to guess, what would the size of that be? Bigger than a ping pong ball and smaller than a tennis ball. I'm just kind of squashing it in with my finger there tightly till you get a nice round bum on there. This will probably make about 2 dozen rolls, maybe. Okay. God bless my kids. They're keeping me organized and on top of things. And oh my God, I'll be cursing at this technology. I just want to bake. I don't want to have to worry about cords and if it's working or not, the darn thing. And the kids will say, "Don't be swearing, Mom." I don't mean to swear. I don't say the bad things. I do take the Lord's name in vain sometimes. Just my mama, I always talk about Mama, the one who raised me. Oh my God. She always took the Lord's name in vain. Of course, that's where I got it. But it was the funniest thing that she would say. She'd say, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. She'd say that all the time. And then she'd bow her head when she'd say that, as if that would make it all right. But then, to make it all right, she'd say, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and Mary Ann. And that was supposed to negate taking the Lord's name in vain. Oh, anyway, she was a good woman. So, I hope I don't offend anybody by saying that. I don't mean to. I really am. I'm kind of a good person. I don't think I'm a bad person. But I do say those things sometimes. Yeah, you can be as rough as you want with this dough, you know? So as long as the rolls get a good hour, the bread needs the hour. I'm just going to have one big one at the end. And we have room for him. There. 4, 21. So there we go. So I'm going to put saran wrap or plastic wrap over the whole thing. I'm going to set my timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes. But before that's up and before I come back live, I want you to turn your oven to 400. at about the 1 hour mark. Okay, so it's 5 o'clock my time now, so at 6 o'clock I'm going to turn the oven on to 400, and at quarter after 6 my time, we'll be back and we'll just pop them in the oven, and I'll have a cup of tea with you then. For the whole time that they're cooking, I'll be online and I have stuff to tell you. All right, here we go. Oh yes, I better end this live feed now. Okay, see you in Hello, we're at the end. How are you all doing? I hope that the rolls and the bread look just wonderful. I am going to go over to the counter, and I'm going to take my loaf of bread over and my rolls so that you can see before I'm going to pop them in the oven. My oven is preheated, my tea is on, and you're going to set the timer when you put everything in together, the rolls and the bread. You're going to set the timer for 20 minutes, and at 20 minutes we're going to take the rolls out, but the bread needs to stay in another 10 after the 20. Okay, so I'm going to go bring it over so you can see mine. Okay, this is how mine has raised up. It's about, 2 inches above the loaf pan, so that looks good. Okay, I'm going to put the 2 loaves of bread in, and I'll bring the rolls over as you can see it before I pop them in. And there are the rolls, and they're all ready to go in, so I'm just going to pop them in. I'll be right back. Have my teacup and my tea. We'll have a good visit while we're waiting. I'm not even sure what I have to talk about today. I guess I'd just like to tell you that we've had a pretty nice week here in Port Hood. We're allowed to walk on the beaches now. Not that I walk on the beaches very much, but my grandsons certainly do that live here. And I guess the biggest news was the ability to bubble with Mitchell's family, and that's just been a gift from heaven. And so we've been enjoying going over there, and the baby, he's 7 months now, and of course he was a little strange at first, but he's just such a beautiful baby. And it was pretty nice to see little Ivor and Aiden. We got to celebrate Aiden's 12th birthday on Friday, so that was really, really nice. But other than that, we're just kind of getting into the spring here and cleaning this and that. And the first 2 weeks that
we had this confinement. I don't know if you're like me. Oh, this was wonderful. I was getting all of this cleaning done and purging. And those first 2 weeks I was just gung-ho. Then I got lazy. And I just kind of said, well, who's going to see it? Nobody's going to see it, whatever. But this whole Tunes and Wooden Spoons has been just godsend, because it's giving me, you know, the first few days I'm just coming down from everything on Sunday afternoon, and you know, then we're just trying to look after the messages, and then at midweek, and then you start thinking, okay, gotta get ready, gotta get the ingredient list, you know, on Tuesday or Wednesday, get that out, and remake the stuff, and just enjoying in every moment of all of this. Oh, I'll be complaining sometimes, but I don't really mean to complain. I really do love it. It's really awesome. And I just enjoy reading all the messages and everything. So thank you all for that. And as much as you thank me, I do thank you, because it would have been really boring, and it gives me something to look forward to. But other than that, I guess I want to talk to you about what we're going to make next Sunday, because next Sunday is going to be a big Sunday for us. But number one, we're going to make Score Bar ice cream cake is what I've called it all these years. I want to say I've probably been making it for, I don't know, 25 years, I swear. So what you need to do, if you're going to make it with me and if you want to serve it, I would make the caramel sauce ahead of time. And you know, you can't really have it until it's been in the freezer for 24 hours. That's what was recommended way back then. But I mean, I'm not going to stop you. So what you need, I usually get 4 liters of ice cream. I get 2 different kinds of ice cream. I probably will get a nice vanilla one, and then the other one will just be a mix of, you know, chocolate or butterscotch or whatever you like. And you could have it all the same, or you can mix it up. We always usually mix it up. So you're going to need the recipe calls for 1 liter on the bottom and then another liter on the top. So it's usually more than that. I probably use more than half on each one. Depends on your pan. The pan that I use is a springform pan, and I hope that there are those, you know, if there's anybody out there that doesn't know, that means the bottom comes out and you tighten it up. And I think mine is a 10-inch one. So the base of it is Oreo cookie crumbs and butter. That's the combination. Now, it's been hard for us to get the Oreo cookie crumbs, unless you go maybe to a larger department store. But there are other options that you can use. Sometimes you'll find chocolate wafers, you know, packages of that just with cellophane over it, and it's just like little round chocolate wafers. And you can just crush them inside of a baggie with a rolling pan until they're fine. And worst comes to worst, use Oreo cookies, even with the icing in it, and just roll it out fine with a rolling pan inside of a bag. So you're gonna need that. Just 1 box of the crumbs is fine if you can get the crumbs, and you'll just put that in the freezer for a little bit once you mix it with the melted butter. That's the base of your ice cream cake. And then besides your liters of ice cream that you're going to buy, whether it's a 2-liter package or 4 liters like I do, You'll probably use about 3 liters in all if you make it good. And then we're going to use score bars. Not the score bar bits, although that's an option. It's up to yourself. But I usually buy about 8 score bars, and or 10, because I'll be eating bites, so I need a couple of extra to make up for the little bites that I'm having. So I cut all of them with a knife, and we're going to put that in between and on the top, and then the lovely sauce on top that is served just warm. And so it's not going to take us very long to do that. We'll bring it out at the start of the show, and we'll bring the ice cream out and just let it just kind of soften a tiny bit, but not a lot. So that is going to be next Sunday. So the rest that is happening, I told you earlier, unless you logged in late, but next Sunday we are going to be sending out a tribute to friends of ours who are from Fort McMurray, but used to live just on our street, and extremely close family friends. And their little boy, he's only 2, was in an accident where a dog escaped, and he's been in the hospital for the last 10 days recuperating there, and he'll soon be home, but it's going to take a while. And a lot of trips back to Edmonton for them, the parents, to deal with the aftermath of that. And we just love this family so very much. And actually, our son Mitchell is a godfather to one of the girls in the family. And so he really wanted to do something. There has been a fundraiser out in Fort McMurray, and that has done really well, but because they're formerly from here in Port Hood and formerly from East Street, and actually Mitchell bought their house, so their childhood home, and so Mitchell wants to do a fundraiser, and so he's going to come here after I'm just finishing up with the ice cream cake, which is his favorite dessert. And he's going to do 45 minutes to an hour show in our living room and sing some songs. And I think he's a pretty good singer. I'm biased, but I love his voice and his choice of songs, and they've always got a good story. And what I'm asking of you, all of you, and is to share that part of, or share the live feed as he is singing, and we'll have a link on there for the fundraising. So give what you can if you can, and if you can't, enjoy the music. It's tunes and wooden spoons, and just we want to lend them the support because we love them very much, and we just feel so bad at this time that this happened. And I think it will cheer everybody up to have a little bit of music, and I know that Mitchell is looking forward to it. He'll take us to town with all of his good songs, and it'll be nice to hear him sing again. And it's so nice that we're in this bubble that he can actually come over and be in our living room and sing. His mama loves her children singing. So that's next Sunday, and we really want lots of people to join in, and we hope that we can give a little support there. So anyway, I'm going to have a little sip of tea, and I'm going to just check on the time. I can't see from here, but there's a lot of good people around. Well, there's so many good things that are happening. I was going to show you this little item. I got this back a couple of weeks ago, and I kept meaning to take it on here to show you. But you see this little, it's a little rock. It's a flower made with buttons on a rock. And when I went down to get the paper one morning, the rock was just down by the mailbox, and some special person left that there. And that special person has been doing that around Port Hood at various locations in various homes of people. And I thought how sweet that was, because it just made me smile, because it was such a nice gesture. And some little hands had a hand in making that and dropping it off to various people in the community and businesses. I was at the post office the other day, and there was one on their bottom step, and I thought, oh, they've been here. And I know of at least another friend of mine who had one at her driveway as well. So whoever you are out there, thank you very much. It put a smile on my face, and I thought it was very, very special. And the other thing that's going around Port Hood, there's all these happy little fairies going around Port Hood and dropping off little goodies at everybody's doorstep. And I know something similar was happening at Fort McMurray. My daughter was telling me about that, and I was looking at it online, and out there they're called ninjas. And I thought, wow, isn't that great? Just almost like a Kris Kringle at Christmas time. You don't know who's giving it to you, but it's very personal and very, thoughtful, and it's nice to do good. So I was very impressed by that. So thank you to that little fairy that dropped that off. Just so cute, so cute. Okay, I'm going to have another sip of tea. I'm going to let you listen to this music for a minute, and I'm going to go check to see how it's coming along, okay? You are going to need any of that saran wrap that you took off the rising rolls and bread. Reuse that, because we're going to, when it comes out of the oven and nice and hot, we're going to put some butter on that saran wrap, and we're going to brush it all over the top of the rolls and the bread. Okay? I'll be right back. I hope you're using your good dishes. I knew there was something else that I was going to tell you about. I think it was last week, or maybe it was the week before, I'm not sure. But I was telling you about this lady from Montreal who is a writer, different than the one that's writing about Tunes and Wooden Spoons. She's a mystery writer, and her name is Colleen Baxter Sullivan. And she sent me 4 of her books. She's been enjoying Tunes and Wooden Spoons on Sundays. And she sent me these 4 books, and I wasn't getting at them, but this week I read 2 of them, and there was a sequel to the first book. First one was called Lil's Way, and the second one was called Jaded. Mystery, a little bit of romance. I could not wait to finish each of those books. Just, if you're looking for a good book, it's not that thick of a book. It's called Lil's Way. Waldorf Publishing Company. I'm telling you, if you like a good book and mystery and drama and you don't know until the very end what's going to happen. So these two I have finished, and I'm on the third and the fourth, which is a detective series that she's begun. Now this first book, Lil's Way, this was her first book. Amazing. I was just so impressed. So if you get a chance, you should look it up or download it or buy it. I don't even know where it's for sale, but I just thought that was so good. Anyway, I wanted to mention that just in case you can support her. Okay. Smells so good. Okay, I'm going to put a bunch of butter on there. Butter makes it better. Some people don't like butter on it. What the butter will do, it will soften the crust. If you want to just leave it a hard crust, go for it. This of course, the butter will, it won't be hard like, it won't be soft, I mean, like right away. But There, looks good. It smells so good. You know, you can spice these up too. Say if you wanted to have, you know, an Italian night, just put some spices in, some of them or whatever. It'll make it beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna try it. Whoops. Oh my God, they're hot. Oh, they're perfect. So good. Yeah, you should take them out of the pan right away, because they'll get, you know, soggy if you leave them in the pan. And the same with the bread. When I take that out, they're so... Doesn't that look so good? Yum. Smells even better. So I'm really anxious to hear from, especially those who have never tried bread before and it's turned out for them. That is just I'm so happy if that happens to you, because it is a long day, but it's not hard work. You know, it's just your time, really. After you mix the first part, it's not hard at all. And it's so gratifying. It's to, you know, to look at it and say, oh my God, that looks really, really good. So, especially those who have not made bread before and were afraid to make it, and I know that there are some, and I've responded to some of you, just send me a picture that you made them and they turned out. And even if there's a couple of fails, that's all right. You'll do better the next time. But really, as long as you are, the key point is the lukewarm for the yeast. You can't do anything wrong after that. It's you know, the kneading is important, yes, but and no matter what way you do it, as long as you're moving it around, it's doing good. Actually, someone responded and told me, remember I told you something about the gluten? And I knew I had a cookbook, and I found it. And it's just interesting. Kneading the bread develops the gluten, which is the elastic quality, and evenly distributes the air bubbles, you know, that are caused by the yeast. So the other thing that they tell you, they bake the bread in a hot oven, and they suggest 400 to 425. I don't think I'd ever do 425. That's a little too hard. But you want to look for a golden brown. Well, that's golden brown. And when you take the loaf out of the oven, it says to tap the bottom of the loaf, and if it sounds hollow, that's a good indication that it is cooked. And I mean, how do you know what hollow sounds like? But yeah, it does sound hollow and empty. But actually this book is the Purity Cookbook. And remember last week I was telling you about my dear friend Ethel, who had passed away. She gave me this back in 2002. I hope you can test some of these recipes. Love, Ethel. So, anyway, that's good. Okay, I'm going to check on the bread. Maybe pour a little hot tea. I was just, I was pouring some more tea in my cup, and I was thinking of my papa. He was known as Red John Beaton from Southwest Mabu, and in Gaelic it was John Rua, Rua meaning red. But when you poured Papa a cup of tea, in those days, there wasn't any mugs. It was all cups and saucers. And there was good cups and saucers, and then there was special cups and saucers. This would be like a special cup and saucer. But he would want his cup of tea, and he'd take his tea like this, and the tea would be so hot, and he would pour it in the saucer. He did. And he would drink from the saucer. I guess the saucer cooled it off. I was just curious, did anybody else do that? And that's and he slurped it. You could hear it, you know. I think of him every time. I think of when I take the cup out, and I think of the saucer and how he used to do that. But you don't see anybody doing that anymore. Right now, these are very special occasions that we take these out, but I've been trying to have it every Sunday now. It's good. Okay, I think the bread is just about done. I'll bring it over here and I'll tap the bottom. So we're going to tap this. Can you hear that? Sounds hollow to me. Good enough for me. Okay, we're going to butter that. Well, people, it was a long day. Thank you to everyone who stuck around with it till we got this done. I hope you've had success. Oh, I don't know, there's something just so comforting about homemade bread. There we go. I'm gonna hold that up so you can see that loaf. I don't know if you can see that. Looks so good. And that's the color of mine on the bottom. So it really took about 29 minutes, I think it took it out at 400. I think that's plenty. So people, that's it for today. You're tired of me today, I bet. But I think if you made it with me, it's a good day. So thank you again, and I hope you come next Sunday. Let's just make this happen, and it'll be a good day. Take care, everybody. Love you. Hi, everybody. Mary Janet here. Thanks so much for watching. I would love if you would hit subscribe, please. And if you'd like to order an apron, you can go to tunesandwoodenspoons.com. The link is down there in the description. So thanks so much and happy baking.